Cast aside all of your outdated ideas, such as drug wars and gangsters, and you'll discover that Colombia is a nation brimming with confidence, rushing headfirst into a more peaceful and prosperous future. In this land of contrasts, you'll find snow-capped Andean peaks, tropical Amazonian jungles, turquoise Caribbean coasts, and 2 sun-kissed deserts. In this video, we'll look at the top 10 spots to visit in Colombia. Before we begin, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more fantastic videos and click the notification bell. So, let's start the video. 10. La Guajira Peninsula. La Guajira Peninsula is the most northerly point in South America. Thus, it's only right that La Guajira is unlike anywhere else on the continent, this remote and infrequently frequented. The peninsula is a quiet oasis of sweeping sand dunes, bird-covered mangrove swamps, and vast stretches of empty land where the orange-brown Laja Desert meets the turquoise Caribbean Sea. Indigenous beliefs are the lore of the land here, as the peninsula is home to the proud Wayuu people, who were never subjugated under Spanish rule and maintain a vibrant culture today. Remember that tourism is still young in La Guajira, and the ride in from the regional seat of Rio Hacha takes both patience and a spirit of adventure. Cabo La Isla, the windsurfing and kiteboarding mecca, has the most tourism infrastructure and will likely be your best entry point into the region. Chapter 9. Mompox realism and Gabriel Garcia Marquez's novels will fall for the sleep charms of Mompox. It featured significantly in the Nobel laureate's book, The General in His Labyrinth, and is said to be the inspiration for the imaginary town of Mondo in his most renowned novel, 100 Years of Solitude. Mompox was once an affluent cog in the commercial route between the Caribbean coast and the Andes, famous as the spot where El Libertador Simón Bolívar raised his troops to seek independence for neighboring Venezuela. Now this colonial relic along the muddy shores of the Magdalena River is truly a town that time forgot. Though it lacks a wealth of things to do, many visitors find themselves spending far longer than planned, strolling through the cobbled streets soaking in the ambience of the colonial architecture, or taking boat trips through the Piño swamp, a popular attraction for birders. 8. Providencia Island. This quirky Caribbean island leaves many first-time visitors perplexed for starters. It's far closer to Nicaragua than Colombia. Then there's the fact that its residents don't speak Spanish, but rather an English Creole. Of course, none of that really matters when you find yourself sunning on the most stunning beaches under the Colombian flag, little more than a dollop of golden sands and perky palms. This isolated island is the jewel of the UNESCO-protected Seaflower Biosphere Reserve, with some of the world's greatest marine biodiversity just waiting to be explored. You'll need to first stop on the more popular San Andrés Island and catch a short hopper plane or 3-hour catamaran ride to reach Providencia. Once here, you'll find the largest collection of cottages and hotels in the small hamlet of Agaldol on the stunning west coast of the island. Number 7. The Lost City, Ciudad Perdida. Colombia's most popular walk is definitely the 4-day, 44-kilometer trek to Sad Perdida, a lost city hidden deep in the Sierra Nevada, the Santa Marta Mountains that was only rediscovered in the 1970s, built and occupied by Tona Indians between the 8th and 14th centuries. This ancient city is said to be one of the largest pre-Columbian settlements discovered in the Americas. Much of the site remains buried beneath a thick jungle quilt because the modern indigenous inhabitants of the area have banned excavations. Independent TRS are not authorized. Choose an approved tour operator who will provide a guide and food. You can schedule a tour from Santa Marta in advance. If you decide to go, be prepared for the searing heat and stifling humidity. Rainstorms, huge amounts of mud, and insects. The track, although easy to follow, is never level and is always going up or down, but it's not all drudgery along the way. You'll be rewarded to amazing rainforest views and the option to swim in rivers and ponds. Number 6. Bogotá. Most visitors to Colombia will inevitably begin their trip in Bogotá, the country's largest city. It's a city that often divides opinion, with some complaining of its gridlocked streets and sometimes dreary weather, and others falling head over heels for its unique combination of colonial charm and urban sophistication. Regardless, the city of 8 million tends to grow on people who give it enough time. Begin your touring in Bozar in the historic core of La Candelaria, where you'll find beautiful architecture lining Plaza de Bolívar and can't miss cultural highlights like the blindingly bright Museum of Gold. Then, head over to the wealthier neighborhoods of North Bogotá for some of the nation's best boutique shops and chef-driven restaurants for a bird's-eye view of the city. Be sure to take a trip up on the cable car to the Sanctu of Monserrate. While up there, settle in for a delightful and leisurely lunch or dinner at Casa San Isidro, serving fine Italian food, or enjoy Colombian food at the historical Santa Clara House, dating from 1924. Number 5. Tayrona National Natural Park. You'll find some of the best beaches in Colombia within the protected Tayrona National Natural Park, which is known for its palm-fringed curves and crystal-clear coastal lagoons. Most beaches are set against the dramatic mountains of the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta, whose rainforested hills make for a great side trip on any beach vacation. Tayrona is also a fantastic place for snorkeling at protected areas near La Pina Beach and Cabo San Juan, though remote these secluded beaches. 4. Leticia. Imagine the Amazon, and Colombia may not be the first place that comes to mind, which is unusual given approximately a third of the nation is buried in its thick and often impassable jungles. The capital of the huge Amazon basin is a small frontier town of Leticia, which located along the banks of the giant Amazon River, right where Colombia meets Brazil and Peru. Leticia makes an excellent base for ecotourism, wildlife safaris, or walks into the Amazon to learn about the indigenous tribes that call this area home. The only way to arrive here is by plane from Bogotá, and then by boat either downriver to Manaus, Brazil, or upriver to Iquitos, Peru. 3. Eje Cafetero. The world's third largest producer of coffee beans. Colombia is a beautiful country for tasting and excursions. The vast majority of production takes place in the subtropical Andean hills west of Bogotá, between the little cities of Armenia, Pereira and Manizales. This region, known as the Cafetero, or coffee access, has an increasing number of coffee plantations that have opened their operations to the public in recent years. For tours, tastings, and spectacular farm stays are tiny and often organic plantations, where the farmer owner may take an hour out of his day to explain the process of how a lowly cherry evolves into a coffee bean that will one day be roasted. Number 2. Medellin. Medellin. Bogotá may be Colombia's capital, but it's the smaller and more manageable city of Medellin that tends to capture the hearts of visitors. Medellin was dubbed the most dangerous city in the world in the early 1990s. But a quarter of a century later, it has earned a reputation for something entirely different: innovation. Bost's cable cars connecting towns in the hills to a contemporary metro system in the valley below, as well as a green belt of lush eco-parks, libraries, and community centers in some of the poorest districts. Number 1. Cartagena. Cartagena, on Colombia's Caribbean coast, is a well-preserved colonial destination in the Americas. Walking inside the medieval walled city might take you to another time. Perhaps it's the 13 kilometers of centuries-old walls, or the colorful colonial architecture, many of which have been converted into well-kept restaurants and luxurious hotels. Perhaps it's the Boron Villa-covered balconies along the winding streets, or the magnificent Catholic cathedrals in Tower. Here are the top 10 ranked attractions and locations to visit in Colombia. Did you like what you saw? Please share this video with friends and subscribe to our channel for more great travel recommendations. See you next time.